If you're looking to crank up the volume while still maintaining a nice deep tone overall in your active exhaust equipped 2018 and newer GT, then you'll certainly want to consider the Stainless Works Redline catback that we have here with corresponding H-pipe. Now in true Stainless Works fashion, interested GT owners can look forward to an absolutely killer build quality and materials with the full 304 grade stainless throughout, polished quad tips, and that sound shaping H-pipe. Now price point is going to hover right around $1,900 or so, and the install will be a little bit more difficult than usual thanks to swapping over your active exhaust components, but either way, figure solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here and a couple of hours or so to complete from start to finish. So Stainless Works is one of those exhaust companies that, in my opinion, seem to fly under the radar a little bit in the land of premium systems. Obviously, they have a stellar reputation when it comes to long tubes, but their exhaust systems are equally as awesome and certainly worth checking out when looking to upgrade to a more premium system. Now, the Redline series that we're talking about here today is a relatively newer addition to their lineup and is designed to be the more aggressive option next to the Legend series, which is designed to be more of their tame option. And this seems like a perfect time to dive into our sound clips. And listen, the Redline is certainly going to live up to the hype when it comes to overall bark. In fact, going to our sound clips at the very top of this video, as you heard, this system is going to produce a nice deep tone, but with plenty of volume, which I feel is worthy of a robust 4 out of 5 on my 1 to 5 or 1 to wake the neighbor scale with that active system at full tilt and track mode. But volume aside, one of my absolute favorite parts of this system is the fact that it maintains that nice deep tone overall. In fact, really not all that different from the factory Mustang tone, which I think is a good thing. Granted, this system's a lot louder, but it's still maintaining that kind of deep muscle car rumble, which really isn't the case with a lot of aftermarket systems. They tend to bring out the raspy side of the Coyote. Not the case here with the Stainless Works, and that's something I really dig. Inside the car, on the other hand, things are going to remain nice and quiet and completely drone-free. A big reason for that unique deep tone with the Stainless Works will be the combination of your included H-pipe here working together with unique Stainless Works mufflers, which are tuned specifically for the Mustang. That's according to Stainless Works. Now, one cool thing to point out is that with the active exhaust cars, you can essentially transform this Mustang, or this muffler I should say, from a chambered muffler into a straight through design by opening up that valve completely. Now in normal mode, you get the more traditional chambered volume and sound profile, while switching things to that more aggressive track mode will give you all the volume and bite you'd expect out of a straight through muffler. Now, one of the nice things about the Stainless Works systems in general is the amount of options the company gives owners to essentially customize their system to their liking. For instance, you have the ability to choose either the H-pipe like we have here or an X-pipe for a bit more edge to your tone. You can also select between active and non-active exhaust systems, so if you happen to stumble across this video and you have a non-active exhaust GT, well, you are in luck as you can achieve the same tone on your ride at home. Now they also give you choices for your connection, meaning if you have matching stainless works headers, you can choose the Performance Connect version as they call it, go full 3-inch from tip to tip. Or if you're keeping your stock manifolds in place, you can go with a more traditional factory style connection, which keeps that neck down in place. Either way, just make sure to check out all of the options, including the Legend series from Stainless Works, which again is going to be the company's slightly tamer version. Materials and construction are all completely top-notch as expected here from the American-made system. This does of course include the premium TIG welded 304 grade stainless steel, all of your 3-inch mandrel bent tubing, and of course exiting out the 4-inch double-walled tips polished to an absolute beautiful shine. But now comes a point in the video where I stop yapping to you about this system and we show you what it takes to get it installed onto your active exhaust GT at home. So without further ado, here's our detailed breakdown and tool walkthrough.
Tools used for this install are a ratchet, a small extension, 15mm socket, 13mm socket, 10mm socket, and a 10mm wrench. So for this install, you're gonna have to remove your entire exhaust system. Luckily, it all comes off in one piece, and you might need to get the help from a friend. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is unplug the active exhaust valve from the muffler, and I'm just gonna do this on both mufflers. So now I'm going to use a 13mm socket with a short extension on my ratchet to remove the 2 bolts in each of the hangers for the mufflers, and then I'll just push the hangers for the mufflers out of the way and move forward on the exhaust system. Once again, with my 13mm, I'm going to come up here to the hangers that are on the bottom of the cross member, and I'm going to remove those bolts, but leave the hangers in place until I'm ready to remove this system. Next, I'm going to use a 15mm socket on my impact gun to loosen up the 4 nuts on these sleeve clamps for the catback of the exhaust. I'm going to slide these clamps back out of my way, and then with the help of a friend, I'm going to drop the whole exhaust system in one piece. All right, so now with the help of a friend, I'm going to pull the whole exhaust system down in one piece. All right, so before I can assemble this system on the vehicle, I need to swap over my valve controller for my active exhaust. I'm going to use a 10mm socket on a small impact gun, and I'm going to retain the factory hardware when I go to bolt this onto the new muffler assembly. So now one thing you are going to want to keep in mind when you go to put this on is to make sure that the valve on your new muffler is in the open position. If you can see inside the tip here, we want the valve to be fully open so that when we align the spring and install our controller, no damages or malfunction codes come up on the computer. All right, so I'm going to use the provided hardware in the kit and the spacers along with the factory hardware, the factory nuts, to bolt this down to my flange. I'm going to make sure that my spring aligns with the notch in the valve. And now I'll use a 10mm wrench and a 10mm socket to tighten up my hardware. Now you're just going to repeat that process for the other muffler. You're also going to want to make sure that you swap over your rear muffler hangers onto your new muffler assembly, and we'll just leave those loosely out of the way until we're ready to install it on the car. So I'm just about ready to start assembling the exhaust system on the vehicle. First thing I want to do is remove these sleeve clamps from the front of the catback and just slide them onto my new H-pipe. And now I can start assembly on the vehicle. All right, now I can just slide my H-pipe into place. The next piece of this puzzle is the intermediate pipes that go right behind the H-pipe. There's 2 of them, and I'm going to pre-install my clamps and just slide these into place. Next, I'm going to need to transfer over my hangers that are located behind the rear cross member. I'm just going to pop these off and transfer them over to my new pipes. Now I can just install these onto the new hanger rods. So now that I have these pipes hung, I'm actually going to put my bolts in for the hangers here at the rear, and that's just going to help keep things in place while I make all my adjustments. And I'll tighten those up into place with my 13mm socket. So now we're ready to throw our mufflers up into place. What I'm going to do is slide it on over the opening for the pipe. And then I can put my hanger up into place. And then I'll just repeat this process for the other muffler. All right, so before I go any further, I just want to make sure I put in my bolts for my rear hangers just to keep everything secured to the vehicle while I make all of my adjustments. So now that we have all the pieces hanging on the vehicle, I left all of my exhaust clamps pretty loose or completely loose so that I can go back and make my adjustments as needed. Now I'm going to prop up my muffler a little bit and get my tips aligned before I start tightening up my clamps, and I'm just going to work my way from the back all the way up to the front. So now that I have everything positioned the way I want it, I'm going to go through and start tightening up my clamps. I'm just going to snug them into place, then double check my tip placement, and then go back and retighten everything. I'm just going to use a 15mm socket on my impact gun to snug up my clamps. Now that I have everything positioned exactly the way I want it, my clamps are all tightened down, I can go back and plug in my valve controllers and pretty much wrap this install up. And that's going to wrap up this review and install of the Stainless Works Redline Catback with H-pipe for your Mustang GT with active exhaust. Thanks for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.